Thank you for meeting with me. What is your name and what do you do?
I'm Jordyn Coon, Jordyn, Coon, Coon. I am an ag communications and marketing consultant, as well as an agricultural ambassador and blogger. And I use social media to teach people about agriculture and food systems.
What inspires you about the work that you do?
Seeing what different people think of agriculture and hearing what they think of their food supply really inspires me to teach others about agriculture. I grew up in it. I am from a family farm. I'm part of the sixth generation that grew up on the farm. And I have a fair amount of agricultural knowledge. And so when I see things online or I hear people talking about kind of some of the misconceptions or what might sound scary within the food industry or agricultural practices, I have some knowledge that can help ease people's fears or help them understand what's actually going on out there. And it gets me really excited to be able to share that information with them.
What are some of the things you wish people knew about farming and farming families?
Some things that I wish people knew about modern farming and farming families is one of the biggest parts is just how much that those farmers care about what they're doing and those families care about what they're doing. They are taking care of, whether they're an animal farmer or a crop farmer, whatever they may be, they're taking care of that land and their animals to the best of their ability. They are oftentimes, if they're raising a food crop, whether it's an animal or a vegetable or fruit or anything, they're eating it themselves too. And so they're not going to raise something that they don't find to be safe or healthy, or when they're making decisions about the way they're farming, they're doing it knowing that it's safe and that they're trying their best to be effective.
What does modern day farming look like these days?
Farming these days looks a lot different than it has historically. As technology has advanced, farming has also advanced significantly with different technological practices. Farmers are learning how to be most efficient with fuel, with water, with other resources, and technology has played into that significantly. Whether it's using imagery from satellites or different scouting practices to use materials most efficiently and effectively, and using as little chemical or pesticide or fertilizer as need be. They're using a lot of technology to make those decisions, and that's really different than what farming has historically looked like.
What inspires you to share your knowledge with students in your social media audience?
I really enjoy sharing what I have learned about farming and agriculture and our food supply with people in general, but I really enjoy helping students learn about it because multiple reasons. One is a lot of students haven't necessarily had to purchase groceries, for instance. They have not gone out and had to be the decision maker when it comes to their food supply. And so helping them understand from a young age how farming actually works and what food systems actually looks like, I think that that's really helpful as they enter a time in their lives where they are going to be making grocery decisions, and that they can feel safe with what they're eating and all of that. But I also really enjoy teaching students about agriculture because I would love to help students get into ag and natural resources, help them find a place in the industry that they feel comfortable and confident, and that there is a place for all of these different skill sets within the industry, and help students understand that that is a career path that is viable for them. You don't have to grow up on a farm to be involved in agriculture.
What are some of the career pathways in agriculture?
When people look at agriculture, you're often seeing just farmers. That's usually what you think of, the person who is out there working in the field and pretty labor-intensive work. But within agriculture, there's so many different career paths, and anything almost that you see outside of agriculture can be found within agriculture too. There's accounting, there's technology work, there's engineering, there's law, graphic design, advertising, marketing and communications. All of these things are applicable in the niche of agriculture. And if a student has an agricultural understanding, again, doesn't have to be a farm background. A student does not need to grow up on a farm to get into these, but if a student is interested in agriculture or natural resources and they want to pursue that pathway, if they get that ag knowledge, they can be incredibly competitive within the workforce, getting a job in a certain part of that industry.
Can you describe your own career journey?
Yeah. When I graduated high school, I thought that I wanted to be a high school agriculture teacher and FFA advisor. And I love agriculture. I love to help people understand the industry. But I realized that I did not want to be a high school ag teacher. And that was near the end of my college career. But I went to school for essentially general agriculture. Agricultural sciences was my degree. And after graduation, I ended up working for an international agricultural crop protection and seed company. And I was in ag sales with them originally, but I eventually found my way into ag communications and marketing. I think that's one thing that is very neat within the ag industry is employers and other farmers and people in the industry are really willing to help kind of lead and guide. And if you show an inclination for something, or if somebody is interested in a portion of that industry or work, they're really willing to help you get there. And so when I was in sales, I realized that wasn't necessarily what I wanted to be doing, but there was a marketing communications position that was open and it sounded interesting to me. And my employer was willing to take a chance kind of on me, and they let me step into that role. And I realized that it was something I was really, really interested in and good at. And I got the opportunity to learn this entire different part of the industry, something that I didn't go to school for, something that I didn't know really anything about, but I was able to learn and work with advertising agencies and PR agencies and learn how to deliver a message to a customer. And that was really great to figure out because I wasn't stuck in a box once I graduated school. There was a place for me to learn and kind of weave my journey. Eventually, I left that company and started working for myself using the skills that I had been taught to help other companies tell their message.
What advice would you give students trying to find their own way?
As students are trying to figure out what's for me and moving into college and a career, I think a big piece of advice that I have is that you don't have to have it all figured out at the beginning. I moved around a lot. I didn't change majors or anything, but I didn't end up doing what I went to school for. And first of all, I think one of the most important things to know for students is that it's okay to change. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to change jobs and change roles and to figure out what really makes them happy and to figure out what they're good at and feel confident in doing, and the knowledge that it's okay to quit and change something. I think that first of all is one of the most important pieces. Additionally, I think that getting a degree in something that has a broad range of knowledge is really good. If they're not sure exactly what they want to do, I think that that's really helpful. And also to not necessarily feel like they have to go to a 4-year degree. I am a big believer in trade schools or apprenticeships or associate's degrees or learning on the job with somebody. I don't think that a 4-year degree is necessary for all roles. And in agriculture, there are going to be some places where that 4-year degree is necessary or more than that, depending on what you're getting into. But I don't think you have to. I think that students need to understand that a 4-year degree is not for everyone, and there's a place for them even without that.
What was it like growing up on a farm?
I grew up on a farm, and it was really important to me. It is really important to me. I'm not working full-time on the farm. I'm not even working part-time on the farm anymore, but I grew up working on the farm, and I feel a deep sense of attachment to the land and to what it gave me and has given my family and the skills that I've learned on it. And I just feel a deep sense of pride in the farm and the way my family has held on to it and successfully navigated changing regulations and changing commodity prices and economies and all of that. And to see what they've managed to do and build. We've been around for over 150 years on the farm, and that's incredible. They've managed to successfully pass it on to further generations, and I'm really proud of the way that they have done that.
What skills are necessary to work in agricultural communication?
I think that the biggest skill, some people wouldn't call it a skill, I would, is a willingness to learn. To get into this industry and to succeed, it takes just a willingness to kind of branch out and pick up knowledge and information and then do something with it. Within marketing and communications, what I'm doing right now, a great skill is just the ability to assess how people are being communicated to and how people like to receive information, what sticks with them, what helps them understand, and then to use that information to tell the story, to get their messages out there. Other skills that are important are, digital skills and tech skills. Those are becoming important in all industries, or not becoming important, are very important and have been for a while, but are becoming more so. And especially within agriculture, the technology is there in a lot of ways, but communications-wise, it hasn't always been at the forefront. And to help these organizations and these farms utilize the resources that are out there to tell their message and to get that out to people using social media platforms or using different digital means is pretty exciting.
What can students be doing to prepare for a career in agriculture?
A really good way to, while you are in school, to prepare yourself for a career in agriculture is if there is an opportunity to be in FFA at the school that a student is in. It's a great way to develop skills that will be useful in an agricultural career. FFA gives students a chance to learn leadership skills and to learn hands-on agriculture skills across a wide range of the industry or across different pieces of the industry. And not every school is going to have that, but if a student has an FFA program available, I highly recommend that they get into that. There are also a lot of ag employers, ag companies that know the benefits of FFA and like to hire from an FFA candidate pool. I think in communications and marketing, high school and middle school students, great ways to prepare for a career are to watch trends. Students are learning how they like to be communicated to and how they like to learn, and they can pick up on those and work to develop those skills. Other career and technical student organizations are great ways for students to learn valuable skills. FBLA, DECA, marketing and business learning opportunities are great ways for students to prepare for future careers.
How do you use social media for your work?
The internet and other forms of media are a really great source of good information and bad information and misinformation. And the more time that I spend online, the more I realize what all is out there, the different types of messages that people are hearing. And I am trying to take that opportunity to get good messages out there. And I have a blog and and Instagram and Facebook that I am using to try to teach people about agriculture. I use social media as a way to communicate quick messages, and my blog to communicate longer messages to help people understand where their food is coming from and how it's being produced. And using social media gives it's a unique way to communicate a message. You have a quick attention span, or you have a brief opportunity to teach something to somebody, and it's a fun environment to be able to try and figure out what messages people will respond to and to figure out how to communicate those.
What hope do you have for the next generation of agricultural professions?
For the future of agricultural professionals, I really desire to see an interest in communicating our message to others and an excitement about the industry that they want to share. We work in a really cool industry. Agriculture is incredible. We provide food and clothing and fuel and all of these incredibly important things for human survival. And people have always enjoyed it. Farmers enjoy what they're doing for the most part. But I think seeing future generations share that message it's neat to see where it's started and where it's going. And I hope for future generations that continues. I also hope for them a general public with a better understanding of our food systems so that they're not continually fighting against that.
Why is there a disconnect between the public and farming communities?
There's a very small percentage of people who work on a farm or have lived in a farming community or work in some form of food production. And being removed from that knowledge base means that there's a lot of misinformation that can come into them, and a deep misunderstanding and distrust of our food supply can also come from that. And I think that's really understandable. If you're not watching something be produced, if you're not part of that, and you hear all of these messages about it being unsafe or using bad practices or the science is not sound, it's really easy to be scared of that food supply. I think if I hadn't grown up on a farm, I would be terrified based on different messages that we hear. There's a lot of disconnect between us and our food supply, and helping bridge that gap and help people understand what's actually going on is, I think, incredibly important to the future of the industry.
What do you love about the work that you do?
I love that my job gives me the ability to take the knowledge that I have, which is really exciting. It's an industry that I really am passionate about, and to use that on a daily basis to help grow the industry and to help communicate information about the industry. I like that my job gives me the flexibility to make my own schedule as a self-employed individual. And it's creative. It's different every day. I get to use my brain and my knowledge to think of new ways to communicate information. And different clients have different needs, and I get to do different things using different skills to help them out. What's the benefit of running an ag business in Oregon? Okay. Oregon has an incredibly diverse agriculture industry. The last I knew, Oregon grows the third most diverse crop mix within the country. We have climates that are very diverse. We have places that can grow a lot of different things. And I think working within Oregon agriculture is really interesting because you get to work with so many different crops and different types of commodities. It's really exciting because it's not just one thing that you get to work with.
Do you have any career advice for students?
That's tough. I think for students to figure out what career journey they want to take and what that path looks like, learning about the different opportunities that are out there is incredibly important. There are a lot of things that we don't necessarily hear about when we're in school that are very legitimate career opportunities. To figure out what those are, there's a lot more out there than we see in media for job opportunities. And it's not necessarily the jobs that look cool or seem powerful or important that are necessarily the best ones. I think that finding something that you're really interested in and figuring out how to turn that into a career is really important. Students can think about what they really like to do, what their interests are, and I think that there's a great way to apply those interests to a future career.